Hello friends, I'm Ellie. Welcome to Cardboard Design. Today, I will bring you meaningful fairy tales. Let's have a listen. I hope you enjoy it. The first fairy tale. The story of a mother. A mother sat by her little child. She was very sad, for she feared it would die. It was quite pale, and its little eyes were closed. And sometimes it drew a heavy deep breath, almost like a sigh. And then the mother gazed more sadly than ever on the poor little creature. Someone knocked at the door, and a poor old man walked in. He was wrapped in something that looked like a great horse cloth, and he required it truly to keep him warm. Or it was cold winter. The country everywhere lay covered with snow and ice, and the wind blew so sharply that it cut one's face. The little child had dozed off to sleep for a moment, and the mother, seeing that the old man shivered with the cold, rose and placed a small mug of beer on the stove to warm for him. The old man sat and rocked the cradle, and the mother seated herself on a chair near him, and looked at her sick child who still breathed heavily, and took hold of its little hand.
"You think I shall keep him, do you not?"
she said.
"Our all-merciful God will surely not take him away from me."
The old man, who was indeed death himself, nodded his head in a peculiar manner, which might have signified either yes or no, and the mother cast down her eyes, while the tears rolled down her cheeks. Then her head became heavy, for she had not closed her eyes for 3 days and nights, and she slept, but only for a moment. Shivering with cold, she started up and looked round the room. The old man was gone, and her child, it was gone too. The old man had taken it with him. In the corner of the room, the old clock began to strike. Where went the chains? The heavy weight sank to the ground, and the clock stopped, and the poor mother rushed out of the house calling for her child. Out in the snow sat a woman in long black garments, and she said to the mother,
"Death has been with you in your room. I saw him hastening away with your little child. He strides faster than the wind, and never brings back what he has taken away."
"Only tell me which way he has gone,"
said the mother.
"Tell me the way, I will find him."
"I know the way,"
said the woman in the black garments.
"but before I tell you, you must sing to me all the songs that you have sung to your child. I love these songs, I have heard them before. I am night, and I saw your tears flow as you sing."
"I will sing them all to you,"
said the mother.
"but do not detain me now. I must overtake him and find my child."
But night sat silent and still. Then the mother wept and sang, and wrung her hands. And there were many songs, and yet even more tears, till at length night said,
"Go to the right, into the dark forest of fir trees, for I saw death take that road with your little child."
Within the wood the mother came to cross roads, and she knew not which to take. Just by stood a thorn bush. It had neither leaf nor flower, for it was the cold winter time, and icicles hung on the branches.
"Have you not seen death go by with my little child?"
she asked.
"Yes,
Replied the thorn bush.
but I will not tell you which way he has taken until you have warmed me in your bosom. I am freezing to death here and turning to ice."
Then she pressed the bramble to her bosom quite close, so that it might be thawed. And the thorns pierced her flesh, and great drops of blood flowed, but the bramble shot forth fresh green leaves, and they became flowers on the cold winter's night. So warm is the heart of a sorrowing mother. Then the bramble bush told her the path she must take. She came at length to a great lake, on which there was neither ship nor boat to be seen. The lake was not frozen sufficiently for her to pass over on the ice, nor was it open enough for her to wade through, and yet she must cross it, if she wished to find her child. Then she laid herself down to drink up the water of the lake, which was of course impossible for any human being to do, but the bereaved mother thought that perhaps a miracle might take place to help her.
"You will never succeed in this,"
said the lake.
"Let us make an agreement together which will be better. I love to collect pearls, and your eyes are the purest I have ever seen. If you will weep those eyes away in tears into my waters, then I will take you to the large hothouse where death dwells and rears flowers and trees, every one of which is a human life. Oh, what would I not give to reach my child?"
said the weeping mother, and as she still continued to weep, her eyes fell into the depths of the lake, and became 2 costly pearls. Then the lake lifted her up, and wafted her across to the opposite shore as if she were on a swing, where stood a wonderful building many miles in length. No one could tell whether it was a mountain covered with forests and full of caves, or whether it had been built But the poor mother could not see, for she had wept her eyes into the lake.
Where shall I find Death, who went away with my little child?
She asked. He has not arrived here yet, said an old gray-haired woman who was walking about and watering Death's hothouse.
How have you found your way here? And who helped you?
God has helped me.
She replied.
He is merciful. Will you not be merciful too? Where shall I find my little child?
I did not know the child.
Said the old woman.
And you are blind. Many flowers and trees have faded tonight, and Death will soon come to transplant them. You know already that every human being has a life tree or a life flower, just as may be ordained for him. They look like other plants, but they have hearts that beat. Children's hearts also beat. From that you may perhaps be able to recognize your child. But what will you give me if I tell you what more you will have to do?
I have nothing to give,
said the afflicted mother.
but I would go to the ends of the earth for you.
I can give you nothing to do for me there,
said the old woman.
but you can give me your long black hair. You know yourself that it is beautiful, and it pleases me. You can take my white hair in exchange, which will be something in return.
Do you ask nothing more than that?
Said she,
I will give it to you with pleasure.
and she gave up her beautiful hair and received in return the white locks of the old woman. Then they went into Death's vast hothouse, where flowers and trees grew together in wonderful profusion. Blooming hyacinths under glass bells, and peonies like strong trees. There grew water plants, some quite fresh, and others looking sickly, which had water snakes twining round them, and black crabs clinging to their stems. There stood noble palm trees, oaks, and plantains, and beneath them bloomed thyme and parsley. Each tree and flower had a name. Each represented a human life, and belonged to men still living, some in China, others in Greenland, and in all parts of the world. Some large trees had been planted in little pots, so that they were cramped for room, and seemed about to burst the pot to pieces, while many weak little flowers were growing in rich soil, with moss all around them carefully tended and cared for. The sorrowing mother bent over the little plants, and heard the human heart beating in each, and recognized the beatings of her child's heart among millions of others.
That is it.
She cried, stretching out her hand towards a little crocus flower which hung down its sickly head.
Do not touch the flower,
Exclaimed the old woman.
but place yourself here, and when Death comes, I expect him every minute. Do not let him pull up that plant, but threaten him that if he does, you will serve the other flowers in the same manner. This will make him afraid, for he must account to God for each of them. None can be uprooted unless he receives permission to do so.
There rushed through the hothouse a chill of icy coldness, and the blind mother felt that Death had arrived.
How did you find your way hither?
Asked he.
How could you come here faster than I have?
I am a mother.
She answered. And Death stretched out his hand towards the delicate little flower, but she held her hands tightly round it, and held it fast at the same time, with the most anxious care, lest she should touch one of the leaves. Then Death breathed upon her hand, and she felt his breath colder than the icy wind, and her hands sank down powerless.
You cannot prevail against me.
Said Death.
But a God of mercy can.
Said she.
I only do his will.
Replied Death.
I am his gardener. I take all his flowers and trees and transplant them into the gardens of paradise in an unknown land. How they flourish there, and what that garden resembles, I may not tell you.
Give me back my child.
Said the mother, weeping and imploring. And she seized two beautiful flowers in her hand, and cried to Death.
I will tear up all your flowers, for I am in despair.
Do not touch them.
Said Death.
You say you are unhappy, and would you make another mother as unhappy as yourself?
Another mother.
Cried the poor woman, setting the flowers free from her hand.
There are your eyes.
Said Death.
I fished them up out of the lake for you. They were shining brightly, but I knew not they were yours. Take them back. They are clearer now than before. and then look into the deep well which is close by here. I will tell you the names of the 2 flowers which you wish to pull up, and you will see the whole future of the human beings they represent, and what you are about to frustrate and destroy.
Then she looked into the well, and it was a glorious sight to behold how one of them became a blessing to the world, and how much happiness and joy it spread around. But she saw that the life of the other was full of care and poverty, misery and woe.
Both are the will of God,
Said Death.
Which is the unhappy flower and which is the blessed one?
She said.
that I may not tell you.
Said Death.
But thus far you may learn that one of the 2 flowers represents your own child. It was the fate of your child that you saw, the future of your own child.
Then the mother screamed aloud with terror.
Which of them belongs to my child? Tell me that. Deliver the unhappy child. Release it from so much misery. Rather take it away. Take it to the kingdom of God. Forget my tears and my entreaties. Forget all that I have said or done.
I do not understand you.
Said Death.
Will you have your child back? Or shall I carry him away to a place that you do not know?
Then the mother wrung her hands, fell on her knees, and prayed to God.
Grant not my prayers when they are contrary to thy will, which at all times must be the best. Oh, hear them not.
And her head sank on her bosom. Then Death carried away her child to the unknown land. The story conveys a profound message about accepting fate and the power of maternal love. A mother saddened by her child's illness encounters Death, who takes her child away. Despite this, the mother refuses to give up and embarks on a difficult journey to find her child. Along the way, she faces various challenges and sacrifices precious things like her hair and her eyes. But through her willingness to sacrifice, she eventually finds her child and realizes that their life will be filled with suffering. Death reveals that each flower and tree represents a human life, including that of her child. In the end, she understands that not everything goes according to her will, and she must accept her child's fate. Her sacrifice and love are tested to the limit, but in the midst of despair, she still finds faith in a higher power. The message of the story is about acceptance, sacrifice, and faith in a higher power, even in the face of extreme difficulty. The second fairy tale. There is a difference. It was in the month of May. The wind was still cold, but spring had come, said the trees and the bushes, the fields and the meadows. Everywhere flowers were budding into blossom. Even the hedges were alive with them. Here spring spoke about herself. It spoke from a little apple tree, from which hung a single branch so fresh and blooming, and fairly weighed down by a glorious mass of rosy buds just ready to open. Now this branch knew how lovely it was, for that knowledge lies in the leaf as well as in the flesh. So it wasn't a bit surprised when one day a grand carriage stopped in the road beside it. And the young countess in the carriage said that this apple branch was the most beautiful she had ever seen. It was spring itself in its loveliest form. So she broke off the apple branch and carried it in her own dainty hand, shading it from the sun with her silk parasol, as they drove onto her castle, in which there were lofty halls and beautifully decorated rooms. Fleecy white curtains fluttered at its open windows, and there were many shining, transparent vases full of beautiful flowers. In one of these vases, which looked as if it were carved of new fallen snow, she placed the apple branch, among fresh green beech leaves, a lovely sight indeed. And so it happened that the apple branch grew proud, and that's quite human. All sorts of people passed through the rooms, and according to their rank expressed their admiration in different ways. Some said too much, some said too little, and some said nothing at all. And the apple branch began to realize that there were differences in people as well as in plants.
Some are used for nourishment, some are for ornament, and some you could very well do without,
thought the apple branch. From its position at the open window, the apple branch could look down over the gardens and meadows below, and consider the differences among the flowers and plants beneath. Some were rich, some were poor, and some were very poor.
Miserable, rejected plants,
said the apple branch.
There is a difference indeed. It's quite proper, and just that distinction should be made. Yet how unhappy they must feel if indeed a creature like that is capable of feeling anything as I and my equals do, but it must be that way, otherwise everybody would be treated as though they were just alike.
And the apple branch looked down with a special pity on one kind of flower that grew everywhere in meadows and ditches. They were much too common ever to be gathered into bouquets. They could be found between the paving stones. They shot up like the rankest and most worthless of weeds. They were dandelions, but people have given them the ugly name, the devil's milk pails.
Poor wretched outcasts,
Said the apple branch.
I suppose you can't help being as common as you are and having such a vulgar name. It's the same with plants as with men. There must be a difference. A difference?
Repeated the sunbeam, as it kissed the apple branch, but it kissed the golden devil's milk pails, too. And all the other sunbeams did the same, kissing all the flowers equally, poor as well as rich. The apple branch had never thought about our Lord's infinite love for everything that lives and moves in him, had never thought how much that it is good and beautiful can lie hidden but still not be forgotten, and that, too, was human. But the sunbeam, the ray of light, knew better.
You don't see very clearly, you are not very far-sighted. Who are these outcast flowers that you pity so much?
Those devil's milk pails down there.
Replied the apple branch.
Nobody ever ties them up in bouquets. They're trodden underfoot because there are too many of them. And when they go to seed, they fly about along the road like little bits of wool and hang on people's clothes. They're just weeds. I suppose there must be weeds too, but I'm certainly happy and grateful that I'm not like one of them.
Now a whole flock of children ran out into the meadow to play. The youngest of them was so tiny that he had to be carried by the others. When they set him down in the grass among the golden blossoms, he laughed and gurgled with joy, kicked his little legs, rolled over and over, and plucked only the yellow dandelions. These he kissed in innocent delight. The bigger children broke off the flowers of the dandelions and joined the hollow stalks link by link into chains. First they would make one for a necklace, then a longer one to hang across the shoulders and around the waist, and finally one to go around their heads. It was a beautiful wreath of splendid green links and chains. But the biggest of the children carefully gathered the stalks that had gone to seed, those loose, aerial, woolly blossoms, those wonderfully perfect balls of dainty white plume, and held them to their lips, trying to blow away all the white feathers with one breath. Granny had told them that whoever could do that would receive new clothes before the year was out. The poor, despised dandelion was considered quite a prophet on such occasions.
Now do you see?
Asked the sunbeam.
Do you see its beauty and power?
Oh, it's all right for children.
Replied the apple branch. Now an old woman came into the meadow. She stooped and dug up the roots of the dandelion with a blunt knife that had lost its handle. Some of the roots she would roast instead of coffee berries. Others she would sell to the apothecary to be used as drugs.
Beauty is something higher than this,
said the apple branch.
Only the chosen few can really be allowed into the kingdom of the beautiful. There's as much difference between plants as between men.
Then the sunbeam spoke of the infinite love of the Creator for all his creatures, for everything that has life, and of the equal distribution of all things in time and eternity.
That's just your opinion,
replied the apple branch. Now some people came into the room, and among them was the young countess who had placed the apple branch in the transparent vase. She was carrying a flower or whatever it was that was protected by 3 or 4 large leaves around it like a cap, so that no breath of air or gust of wind could injure it. She carried it more carefully and tenderly than she had the apple branch when she had brought it to the castle. Very gently she removed the leaves, and then the apple branch could see what she carried. It was a delicate, feathery crown of starry seeds formed by the despised dandelion. This was what she had plucked so carefully and carried so tenderly, so that no single one of the loose, dainty, feathered arrows that rounded out its downy form should be blown away. There it was, whole and perfect. With delight she admired the beautiful form, the airy lightness, the marvelous mechanism of a thing that was destined so soon to be scattered by the wind.
Look how wonderfully beautiful our Lord made this,
she cried.
I'll paint it together with the apple branch.
Everybody thinks it is so extremely beautiful, but this poor flower is lovely too. It has received as much from our Lord in another way. They are very different, yet both are children in the kingdom of the beautiful.
The sunbeam kissed the poor dandelion, and then kissed the blooming apple branch, whose petals seemed to blush a deeper red. This story beautifully illustrates the themes of perspective, humility, and the inherent value of all living things. At the beginning, the proud apple branch looks down upon the common dandelion, considering them unworthy and pitiable. However, as the story unfolds, we see that the dandelions bring joy to children, provide beauty in their own way, and even hold practical value for the old woman who uses them for various purposes. Through the interactions of the characters and the gentle wisdom of the sunbeam, the apple branch learns that beauty and worthiness are not determined solely by external appearances or societal standards. Rather, true beauty lies in the uniqueness and purpose of each living being, regardless of how they are perceived by others. The young countess's appreciation for both the delicate dandelion and the elegant apple branch serves as a reminder that diversity enriches the world, and that every creature, no matter how humble, has its own place and significance in the grand tapestry of creation. Ultimately, the story celebrates the interconnectedness of all living things and the infinite love and wisdom of the Creator, who bestows beauty and purpose upon each of his creations in unique and marvelous ways. The third fairy tale, the loveliest rose in the world. There lived once a great queen, in whose garden were found at all seasons the most splendid flowers, and from every land in the world. She specially loved roses, and therefore she possessed the most beautiful varieties of this flower, from the wild hedge rose, with its apple-scented leaves, to the splendid Provence rose. They grew near the shelter of the walls, wound themselves round columns and window frames, crept along passages and over the ceilings of the halls. They were of every fragrance and color. But care and sorrow dwelt within these halls. The queen lay upon a sick bed, and the doctors declared that she must die.
There is still one thing that could save her.
Said one of the wisest among them.
Bring her the loveliest rose in the world, one which exhibits the purest and brightest love, and if it is brought to her before her eyes close, she will not die.
Then from all parts came those who brought roses that bloomed in every garden, but they were not the right sort. The flower must be one from the garden of love, but which of the roses there showed forth the highest and purest love? The poet sang of this rose, the loveliest in the world, and each named one which he considered worthy of that title, and intelligence of what was required was sent far and wide to every heart that beat with love, to every class, age, and condition.
No one has yet named the flower,
said the wise man.
No one has pointed out the spot where it blooms in all its splendor. It is not a rose from the coffin of Romeo and Juliet, or from the grave of Walberg, though these roses will live in everlasting song. It is not one of the roses which sprouted forth from the blood-stained fame of Winkelried. The blood which flows from the breast of a hero who dies for his country is sacred, and his memory is sweet, and no rose can be redder than the blood which flows from his veins. Neither is it the magic flower of science, to obtain which wondrous flower man devotes many an hour of his fresh young life in sleepless nights, in a lonely chamber.
I know where it blooms,
said a happy mother, who came with her lovely child to the bedside of the queen.
I know where the loveliest rose in the world is. It is seen on the blooming cheeks of my sweet child, when it expresses the pure and holy love of infancy. When refreshed by sleep, it opens its eyes and smiles upon me with childlike affection.
This is a lovely rose,
said the wise man.
But there is one still more lovely.
Yes, one far more lovely,
said one of the women.
I have seen it, and a loftier and pure rose does not bloom, but it was white like the leaves of a blush rose. I saw it on the cheeks of the queen. She had taken off her golden crown, and through the long, dreary night, she carried her sick child in her arms. She wept over it, kissed it, and prayed for it as only a mother can pray in that hour of her anguish.
Holy and wonderful in its might is the white rose of grief, but it is not the one we seek.
No, the loveliest rose in the world I saw at the Lord's table,
said the good old bishop.
I saw it shine as if an angel's face had appeared. A young maiden knelt at the altar, and renewed the vows made at her baptism, and there were white roses and red roses on the blushing cheeks of that young girl. She looked up to heaven with all the purity and love of her young spirit, in all the expression of the highest and purest love.
May she be blessed.
said the wise man.
But no one has yet named the loveliest rose in the world.
Then there came into the room a child, the queen's little son. Tears stood in his eyes and glistened on his cheeks. He carried a great book, and the binding was of velvet with silver clasps.
Mother,
Cried the little boy.
only hear what I have read.
And the child seated himself by the bedside, and read from the book of him who suffered death on the cross to save all men, even who are yet unborn. He read,
Greater love hath no man than this.
and as he read, a roseate hue spread over the cheeks of the queen, and her eyes became so enlightened and clear that she saw from the leaves of the book a lovely rose spring forth, a type of him who shed his blood on the cross.
I see it.
She said,
He who beholds this, the loveliest rose on earth, shall never die.
This story conveys the power of love in healing and bringing forth new life. It depicts a queen who is gravely ill, with only the purest and most exquisite rose in the world able to save her. Despite efforts to find this rose, all attempts seem futile until a child, with a pure heart and sincere faith, brings forth the story of the highest love of God. The tale emphasizes that love, in any form, from the love of a child to the love of a mother, and ultimately the love of God, can bring healing and hope. It also highlights the importance of recognizing love in all things, not just in eternal symbols like roses or in noble acts of faith. The fourth fairy tale, The Drop of Water. Of course you know what is meant by a magnifying glass, one of those round spectacle glasses that make everything look 100 times bigger than it is. When anyone takes one of these and holds it to his eye, and looks at a drop of water from the pond yonder, he sees above 1,000 wonderful creatures that are otherwise never discerned in the water. But there they are, and it is no delusion. It almost looks like a great playful of spiders jumping about in a crowd. And how fierce they are. They tear off each other's legs, and arms and bodies, before and behind, and yet they are merry and joyful in their way. Now, there once was an old man whom all the people called Cribble Crabble, for that was his name. He always wanted the best of everything, and when he could not manage it otherwise, he did it by magic. There he sat one day, and held his magnifying glass to his eye, and looked at a drop of water that had been taken out of a puddle by the ditch. But what a cribbling and crabbling was there! All the thousands of little creatures hopped and sprang and tugged at one another, and ate each other up.
That is horrible!
Said old Cribble Crabble.
Can one not persuade them to live in peace and quietness, so that each one may mind his own business?
And he thought it over and over, but it would not do, and so he had recourse to magic.
I must give them color, that they may be seen more plainly,
said he. And he poured something like a little drop of red wine into the drop of water, but it was witch's blood from the lobes of the ear, the finest kind, and ninepence a drop. And now the wonderful little creatures were pink all over. It looked like a whole town of naked wild men.
What have you there?
Asked another old magician, who had no name, and that was the best thing about him.
Yes, if you can guess what it is,
said Cribble Crabble.
I'll make you a present of it.
But it is not so easy to find out if one does not know. And the magician who had no name looked through the magnifying glass. It looked really like a great town reflected there, in which all the people were running about without clothes. It was terrible, but it was still more terrible to see how one beat and pushed the other, and bit and hacked, and tugged and mauled him. Those at the top were being pulled down, and those at the bottom were struggling upwards.
Look! Look! His leg is longer than mine. Away with it! There is one who has a little bruise. It hurts him, but it shall hurt him still more.
And they hacked away at him, and they pulled at him, and ate him up because of the little bruise. And there was one sitting as still as any little maiden, and wishing only for peace and quietness. But now she had to come out, and they tugged at her, and pulled her about, and ate her up.
That's funny,
said the magician.
Yes, but what do you think it is?
Said Cribble Crabble.
Can you find that out?
Why, one can see that easily enough.
said the other.
That's Paris, or some other great city, for they're all alike. It's a great city.
It's a drop of puddle water.
Said Cribble Crabble. This is the end of the storytelling session. I will come back tomorrow and bring you many meaningful fairy tales. Bye bye!